Hi, I'm Miss Powell. I'm the English teacher at this campus, and I just wanted to share a lesson with you on close reading, as you can see in the backdrop. Snowy mountains, it's cold, yeah, we are in the winter time. In fact, right now, we are 1 week away from Christmas vacation. So, the reading we do today, um, the articles are going to deal with Christmas. So we're going to do a close reading. And those of you who are present in the building have a handout that you'll use to follow along with. And let me remind you, every activity in Google Classroom, every focused instruction activity is worth unit activities, worth task grades in Edmentum. And we also, for those who are present here, our last sheet is a whole nother activity asking you to write an essay um, on what candy you would choose, because we are going to be looking at an article dealing with the candy cane. So, what candy would you prepare? So, let's go ahead. Let's do a close reading. Close reading. That is reading an article or a text passage more than once to gain all the information we can. Look at context clues, look at main idea, write notes in the margin, underline, highlight. Yeah, we do all of those things when we annotate and do a close reading. So let me go ahead. Let me share my screen with you and let's see what we do when we do a close reading.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.
Christmas close reading. Yeah, our objectives today is that we will be able to determine meaning from a variety of text. The most important part of a close reading is being able to draw conclusions and make inferences based upon what we read. And we examine a video closely and make inferences from this. What conclusions can we draw from the octopuses? Let's answer some questions as we watch the video. What is the setting to the video? What are the octopuses doing at the beginning of the video? What can we infer about the relationship? What happens to change this? What does the gold octopus imagine has happened to the pink octopus? What does he do about this? What conflict follows? How does this story end? What do you think happens to the gold octopus? Why did the author end the story like this? Why? What might be the theme of this story? And of course, we know theme is the main idea. It's a lesson the author is trying to teach us about life. Yeah, what have we learned today? And I think we've learned a little something by watching that little video closely. I think that the setting to the video is obviously in an aquarium. The octopuses are kind of hugging, so we can infer that maybe this is Mr. and Mrs. Octopus. How is this close setting changed? Okay, well, somebody comes or this guy comes and grabs the pink octopus. So what does the gold octopus imagine has happened to the pink octopus or will happen to the pink octopus, actually? He sees this or imagines this butcher just carving up the pink octopus. So what does he do? He immediately sets out to try to rescue the pink octopus. What conflicts follow? Well, this gold octopus is determined that he is going to rescue this octopus. So he is in chasing after the bus. In fact, even releases the pink octopus from the little um, cooler that she's been put in. Okay, how does this story end? Well, we see the two octopuses on the kind of telephone poles, and oh no, a seagull comes and grabs the gold octopus. What do you think happens to the gold octopus? Well, I can imagine that the gold octopus is rescued by the pink octopus. And what do you think? The author ends the story like this. I think he's trying to establish his theme that love never gives up, love never fails. True lovers will find a way to make it through regardless of the situation. Okay. You know, we can do the same thing when we read as when we watch a video. We can do a close reading. We can um, make inferences and we can also determine meanings. But when we read, it's always a good idea to read several times and focus on words we don't know, focus on things um, that stand out to us, that catch our attention, take notes in the margin. So let's do a close reading of some Christmas passages. Okay, we're going to read about making candy canes. During Christmas, many people enjoy eating popular hard candies called candy canes. These hook-shaped treats are almost always striped and usually have a peppermint flavor. While they may look simple to make, they aren't. It takes many steps for factories to turn large batches of sugary goop into thousands of these striped treats. The first step in making candy canes is to cook up large amounts of sugar, water, and corn syrup. This mixture creates massive piles of sugary goop that can weigh over 100 pounds. To make candy canes with red stripes, a second batch of goop containing red food coloring is prepared. Then the cooked goop piles are transferred to a table where they rest and flatten into sheets. Of these tables, the goop cools down a few degrees but remains hot and elastic. This is important because the goop must be stretchy and flexible for the next step. The second step is to give the goop some flavor. While most candy makers use peppermint, candy canes come in many different flavors. In fact, some candy makers have made strawberry and blueberry flavored candy canes. However, the flavoring will not mix with the goop on its own. To combine the two, candy makers must use a special ingredient called starch. It binds other ingredients, helping them to stick together. The flavoring and starch create a powdery mixture when stirred. Then the mixture is sprinkled on top of the gooey sheets. Last, a machine folds and kneads the goop over and over, which spreads the flavor evenly. After the flavor is added, the goop must have the right color and shape, so it's transferred onto a machine with metal arms. These arms pull and stretch the goop and the candy, adding air and making it fluffy and white. After a good fluff, the white goop is put onto rollers. The rollers shape it into a cylinder, the size of a tree trunk. Next, the red goop is pulled by hand and made into thin strips. These strips are stretched around the white cylinder to give the candy a red stripe. Then the striped candy travels on a belt toward two big wheels. The wheels squeeze the thin candy rope, or the thin candy, from a large tree trunk down to a narrow rope. Continuing its journey, the thin candy rope travels over two belts that move in opposite directions. These belts twist the rope to turn the red and white stripes into a swirl. Last, mechanical knives lop off portions of the rope, cutting them into smaller rods. At this point, the process isn't finished. The hard candy rods travel through a machine that wraps them in plastic. Another machine gives them a quick blast of heat. The heat shrinks the plastic and makes the candy flexible again. Last, the rods are pushed around a post that gives them a quick bend. That bend changes them from candy rods into hook-shaped candy canes. Okay, let's see what we've learned just from one reading of this. Now, let's turn your handout sheet over or look at your first little set of questions here. How do candy makers add a stripe and swirl the candy canes? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. Okay, well, we always go back to the text and we find that they stretch the candy. They make one set of the candy, they color it with red dye, and after they've stretched and fluffed the white candy, they add in the red candy to add, or the red candy, the candy with the food dye, to kind of swirl that as the machine swirls it, kind of interlaces it into the white candy. How does starch help flavor the candy canes? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. Well, what we're told is that this candy does not accept, or candy doesn't accept flavor on its own, sweetness on its own. So to bind the flavor and the sweetness into the candy cane, we use starch to do that. What is the main idea of the text? Well, I think that's clear enough. The main idea here is, how do we make candy canes? How are candy canes made? Why is heat important to the candy cane making process? Use evidence from the text. Well, we're told that the candy must be elastic. It must be, they must be able to move that candy cane, move that goop, as they call it, so they can stretch it and they can turn it and kind of swirl it so that they can have some kind of control and then be able to move the candy cane and even close the plastic seal. So they have to have heat. What is clear after a second reading? So let's quietly do a second reading and then we'll turn to the next page. Okay. Yeah, what does elastic mean as it's used in the text? Which words or phrases help us understand the meaning? Well, let's look at the text. We're told that one on these tables, the goop cools down a few degrees, but remains hot and elastic because this goop must be stretchy and flexible. So we get the idea that if it's elastic, it's stretchy and flexible. What does bind mean as it's used in the text? Well, let's go back to the text. It binds other ingredients. Starch binds other ingredients, helping them stick together. So bind causes something to stick together or causes two things to connect or stick together. What does lop mean as it's used in the text? Hey, let's go back. Um, in fact, right there in the the end of the fourth paragraph, the thin candy rope travels over two belts. These belts twist the rope to turn the red and white stripes into a swirl. Last, mechanical knives, knives lop off portions of the rope. So knives lop off or cut off portions of the rope. What is the text structure of making candy canes? Okay, compare, contrast, sequence, problem and solution, cause and effect, description. Well, I would say it's probably sequence. First, in fact, it's very clearly sequence. First, we do this. Our second step is this. Our third step is very obvious. The author is following a sequence of events. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's read this text one more time and see if we can gain more meaning here. Okay, well, we're told to look at the picture and the caption and how this picture and caption add to the text. Well, I think it does help me to see exactly what this goop that they're talking about looks like. So that's a help. I can already picture this the sugary goop with red food coloring is added. Yeah, it does help me. And as we're stretching it, that color is swirling in there. At the end of the second paragraph, the author wrote that the goop must be stretchy and flexible. What reasons and evidence from the text did the author include to support this? Well, he talks about a machine pulling and twisting and ultimately bending the goop. So, yeah, it's got to be flexible to do that. So, let's go on now. One more, and this is your time to do the close reading. So, we'll look at the Hendersons and why they canceled Christmas, but we'll let you answer the questions. Let's look at the Hendersons. Who are they? And why would a family, the Henderson family, want to cancel the, for many of us, the most special day of the year? The Hendersons cancel Christmas. We should just cancel Christmas. This was the statement that sparked a major overhaul in the Henderson household in Hurricane, Utah. John and Lisa Henderson had been fighting an uphill battle with their three boys, ages 5, 8, and 11, and had finally had enough of their children's disrespect and entitlement. They expect so much, Lisa writes in her blog, Over the Moon, even when their behavior is disrespectful. So, whereas many parents threaten kids with the idea of canceling Christmas, the Hendersons have actually done it. Lisa explains that they haven't canceled cooking, decorations, or other heartwarming traditions, but instead that the boys won't be receiving gifts. According to Lisa, Their letters to Santa this year will be asking Santa to find someone who needs their presence more. And she has posted this on Over the Big Moon. She assures readers that her kids already have much to be grateful for: good food, clothes, and too many toys to count. She and her husband wanted to add a healthy dose of perspective to that. The Hendersons worried that their children felt entitled to gifts without really thinking about the true meaning behind the holidays. How much does the average child receive in gifts in the United States? As reported by one survey on timesunion.com, parents spend on average $450 per child. Another survey of 511 parents draw a more conservative estimate of $224 per child. And this was the Prowl 2013. These numbers do not take into consideration what kids receive from their aunts, uncles, and grandparents. What are the Hendersons doing instead? They have already held a clothing drive in their community, as well as collecting leftover candy from Halloween. The boys have created care packages from those items to send to a village in the Philippines hit hard by Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. The boys will also participate in the Adopt a Grandparent program, inviting several older widows or couples to a Christmas dinner. Lisa and John want their boys to enjoy Christmas for the opportunity to share with others, not the gifts they might receive for themselves. The Hendersons are facing a backlash online with commenters comparing Lisa to the Grinch or calling her mean and lazy. Lisa updated her blog to clarify that this has been a whirlwind of negative attention for her family. She has also closed her blog to comments. My intention is to help support other parents and to raise amazing kids, Lisa writes. The feeling of kindness and giving are what gives Christmas its magic. Hey, pretty powerful attitude here. But let's look at the next page. What can we determine from a close reading? What are some reasons that a family might have Christmas? I want you to think of as many as you can. Why, for instance, would you, if you were a parent, and some of you may well be, why would you feel like, and why would you feel that maybe your parents might get the idea that we need to close Christmas? Let's write down at least three things. In 3 sentences, summarize this text. Think about what you would say if a friend asked you what this article was about. Okay, best way to summarize: main idea, something about a family that did not feel that their children needed more gifts or more toys. Okay, what is this story about, or this little article? Below, you'll find 2 pieces of supporting evidence for a certain idea. Write the central idea. Okay, you'll find below 2 pieces of supporting evidence for a central idea. Write the central idea. The Hendersons are still going to cook, decorate, and celebrate together. Supporting idea. The boys already have good food, clothing, and lots of toys. Supporting idea. The boys are making care packages for a village in the Philippines. The family will cook Christmas dinner for the older couples in the neighborhood. How can we piece together these ideas to write down the main idea of the story? What value system do these boys' parents have that they want to instill in their kids? Okay, and what do Lisa and John want their kids to learn? As we said, use two pieces of evidence to support the idea. And I think we all but see those up above. Something about learning to share and to give. So, in conclusion, a close reading is reading a passage many times to determine context clues, to make inferences, determine the author's purpose for writing the text, and the main idea. So, yeah, I think we've gotten some ideas here. You'll notice that on the very, very last page of your handout, and it should be the last of your little Google templates here, um, you're given the opportunity to write your own essay based on what you feel. If you were allowed, if you were to make a candy, what would that candy be? Well, we're going to count this as a grade all its own, because I think we've gotten some ideas about close reading, and we use reading to write. We form our reading many times based on our text. So, thank you for sharing with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing your answers in Google Classroom or on the little handout sheets that we worked with today. Thank you for letting me have your time. Thank you.